Hi, I'm Moonchildlexi and I'm here with you. Thank you so much for joining me. Today is day 9. We are going through transformative parable stories to help us learn, to help us relate, and ultimately transform our lives into one that is more aligned with our soul and spirit. I did pull the card for today as a number 8 for us all. Disciplehood. The first thing that just comes to mind, and all that I have to say before I start reading the story, this one's a little bit longer, is when the student is ready, the teacher arrives. And anything can be a teacher. When you start to look at anything in life being a teacher to you, you allow yourself to be moldable, to be you allow blossoming, right? To be stagnant and hard and holding on to knowledge and the things that you think you know, there is a restriction then that you're putting on your own self. So let's jump into the story of disciplehood. No situation is without a lesson. No situation at all. All situations are pregnant, but you have to discover. It may not be available on the surface. You have to be watchful. You have to look at all aspects of the situation. Let me pause there. I recall I was just journaling one time and I asked God, what is the truth? And what came out was that it's 3 levels of energy. One person has their own point of view. Let's say an incident happened, right? One person has their own point of view. The other has their own point of view. So there's 2 sides of the same truth. And then there is the events that caused the things to play out. If I find that writing somewhere, I'll share it and add it in the comments. It so much more eloquently came out in writing. But it was eye-opening to me because there's 3 levels of what could be considered the truth, the points of views of a situation or a circumstance. This is a story of the many teachers of Junaid. One of the great Sufi masters, Junaid, was asked when he was dying. His chief disciple came close to him and asked, "Master, you are leaving us. One question has always been on our mind, but we can never gather courage enough to ask you. Who was your master? This has been a great curiosity among your disciples because we have never heard you talk about your master." Junaid opened his eyes and said, "It will be very difficult for me to answer because I have learned from almost everybody. The whole existence has been my master. I have learned from every event that has happened in my life, and I am grateful to all that has happened because out of all that learning, I have arrived." Junaid said, "Just to satisfy your curiosity, I will give you 3 instances. 1, I was very thirsty and I was going towards the river carrying my begging bowl, the only possession I had. When I reached the river, a dog rushed, jumped into the river, started drinking. I watched for a moment and threw away my begging bowl because it was useless. A dog can go without it. So I also jumped into the river and drank as much water as I wanted. My whole body was cool because I had jumped into the river. I sat in the river for a few moments, thanked the dog, touched his feet with deep reverence because he had taught me a lesson. I had dropped everything, all possessions, but there was a certain clinging to my begging bowl. It was a beautiful bowl, very beautifully carved, and I was always aware that someone might steal it. Even in the night, I used to put it under my head as a pillow so nobody could snatch it away. This was my last clinging. The dog helped. It was so clear. If a dog can manage without a begging bowl, I am a man. Why can't I manage? The dog was one of my masters. Secondly, he said, I lost my way in a forest, and by the time I reached the nearest village I could find, it was midnight. Everybody was fast asleep. I wandered all over the town to see if I could find somebody awake to give me shelter for the night. Until finally I found one man. I asked him, it seems only 2 persons are awake in this town, you and I. Can you give me shelter for the night? The man said, I can see from your gown that you are a Sufi monk. The word Sufi comes from suf. Suf means wool, a woolen garment. The Sufis have used the woolen garment for centuries. Hence they are called Sufis because of their garment. The thief said, I can see you are a Sufi, and I feel a little embarrassed to take you to my home. I am perfectly willing, but I must tell you who I am. I am a thief. Would you like to be the guest of a thief? And for a moment, Junaid hesitated. The thief said, see, look, it is better that I told you. You seem hesitant. The thief is willing, but the mystic seems to be hesitant to enter into the house of a thief, as if the mystic is weaker than the thief. In fact, I should be afraid of you. You may change me. You may transform my whole life. Inviting you means danger, but I am not afraid. You are welcome. Come to my home. Eat, drink, go to sleep, and stay as long as you want. Because I live alone and my earning is enough, I can manage for 2 persons, and it will be really beautiful to chit-chat with you about great things. But you seem to be hesitant. And Junaid became aware that this was true, and he asked to be forgiven. He touched the feet of the thief, and he said, yes, my rootedness in my own being is yet very weak. You are a really strong man, and I would like to come to your home, and I would like to stay a little longer, but only for the night. I want to be stronger myself. The thief said, come on. He fed the Sufi, gave him something to drink, helped him prepare for sleep, and he said, now I will go. I have to do my own thing. I will come back early in the morning. Early in the morning, the thief came back. Junaid asked, have you been successful? The thief said, no, not today, but I will see tomorrow. And this happened continuously for 30 days. Every night the thief went out, and every morning he came back empty-handed. But he was never sad, never frustrated, no sign of failure on his face, always happy. And he would say, it doesn't matter. I tried my best. I could not find anything today again, but tomorrow I will try. And God willing, it can happen tomorrow if it has not happened today. After 1 month, Junaid left, and for years he tried to realize the ultimate, and it was always a failure. But each time he decided to drop the whole project, he remembered that thief, his smiling face, and his saying, God willing, what has not happened today may happen tomorrow. Junaid said, I remembered the thief as one of my greatest masters. Without him, I would not be what I am. And third, he said, I entered into a small village, and a little boy was carrying a lit candle, obviously going to the small temple of the town to put a candle there for the night. And Junaid asked, can you tell me from where the light comes? You have lighted the candle yourself, so you must have seen. What is the source of the light? The boy laughed, and he said, wait. And he blew out the candle in front of Junaid. And he said, well, you have seen the light go. Can you tell me where it's gone? And if you tell me where it's gone, I will tell you then where it has came, because it has gone to the same place. It has returned to the source. And Junaid said, I had met great philosophers, but nobody had made such a beautiful statement. It has gone to its very source. Everything returns to the source finally. Moreover, the child made me aware of my own ignorance. I was trying to joke with the child, but the joke was on me. He showed me that asking foolish questions from where has the light come, it was not intelligent. It comes from nowhere, from nothingness, and it goes back to nowhere, to nothingness. Junaid said, I touched the feet of the child, and the child was puzzled. He said, "Why are you touching my feet?" And I told him, "You are my master. You have shown me something. You have given me a great lesson, a great insight." Since that time, Junaid said, I have been meditating on nothingness, and slowly, I have entered into nothingness. And now the final moment has come where the candle will go out, the light will go out, and I know where I am going, to the same source. I remember that child with gratefulness. I can still see him standing before me, blowing out the candle. That is a way that I've developed my own intuition and connection with the world around me, is to have it be in commune with me, to, yes, seek meaning within inside. But if I'm seeing something in my physical reality, what is it showing me? What is it to teach me? What is it here to bring value to my life, even if we think it doesn't? What value is there here? All right, well, thank you all for your time again. Until next time.